Hello and welcome to Yarn Lane. It's the best hour of the day, isn't it? Look, I'm wearing one of them and I almost think that this is made for me. Isn't it just beautiful? So this is the new Laceweight Yarn by West Yorkshire Spinners, designed by Anniken Allis, who's with us today. How lucky are we? Real live knitwear designer. But this is beautiful. What I love, you can tell, look how it's offset. So you've got like these lacy pattern that's offset on that side and on the sleeve. I absolutely love this. So we have got 4 kits for you today. You can either make this beautiful jumper in one of 2 colourways, this colour or this colour. And we've also got the scarf kit, which is in the champagne colourway, and the coral, but the Anniken's wearing that, so you have to see that in a minute. And the great thing about the scarfy shawl is you've got enough yarn to make either the small or the large. It's up to you. But you can wear it however you like, but we'll talk that through when we speak to Anniken in a minute, but I just wanted you to be able to see both of them. So these are brand new. We are launching them with West Yorkshire Spinners this week, and we've got brand new yarn, brand new designer, and we've got brand new needles. So if you love knitting, you've not tried Laceweight before, you wonder what it is, what it does, is it different technique, you're going to find out everything today. So very quickly, I'm going to go through all the kits that we've got, because I want you to see what we've got, and then we can get on to the demonstration. So, kit number one is this beautiful Saskia lace shawl. So in the kit, you get a whole hank of this. Well, it's called Exquisite, because it is. So it's the West Yorkshire Spinners Exquisite Lace. It is 80% Falkland wool and 20% mulberry silk. It's the most beautiful blend. So it's soft. I mean, look at the colour. It's very on trend at the moment, the coral colour, isn't it? But it's absolutely beautiful. It's actually called Capri, but it is a coral colour. But it is beautiful. And the great thing about Laceweight yarn is you get a lot of yarn for your money, because of the meterage. You get, I think it is 800 metres? 800 metres, which you wouldn't get with any of the other yarns. So you get a lot. And then in the kit, you also get the pattern. So you can make this beautiful lace shawl. And you can either make the short version, which they on the front here, or the longer version. There's enough in the kit to make either. Everything you need to know is in here. There's photos. Aren't they lovely? And you get a chart. And Anniken's going to be showing us about charts, because I know a lot of you are scared of charts. Go, I don't understand charts. We're going to be doing a bit of a chart masterclass for you today. But that's beautiful, isn't it? But £16.99, that's incredible value. I mean, when you think this is pure wool and mulberry silk mix, and mulberry silk is the best quality of mulberry silk that you can buy. I mean, if you went to one of those little boutique shops, can you imagine what you would pay for that? Certainly a great deal more than £69. It wouldn't be less than £25, would it? And this is a great way of learning. If you've not done Laceweight before, it is a beautiful technique. So that is the Capri, which is this beautiful, rich coral colourway. We also have, it's exactly the same, but it's in champagne, which is this lovely neutral colourway, which is the one that I've got on the mannequin here. That's beautiful, isn't it? It's a real lovely sort of soft neutral shade. So again, full pattern. So there's the model wearing it. And there. So, and remember, you can do the short or the long version. Either way, there's enough yarn to do both. And then you've got all the pattern and the chart. So that's exactly the same. And this, the patterns and these colourways, these 4 colourways are brand new that we are launching with West Yorkshire Spinners for you. Launching. So, shall we do the top next? Oh, we've had a message from Annette. Can we buy the jumper you're wearing, please? Yes, here we are. Here it is. So it's the Lunar lace top. I mean, it's just beautiful. I'm quite impressed, actually, because you know how often you see tops. You see them hanging up or you see them on things and you think, gosh, that's so lovely. And when I wear it, it's not going to look lovely. And I secretly tried it on this morning before anyone else noticed. And it looked really nice on. So I was really pleased, but it does look lovely on. I'm going to knit one. So could you please not buy all the kits? Because I really want to. I love this colourway as well. But it's lovely. So in this kit, you get 2, because you need 2 hanks of yarn for this. But what's great about this is that there is enough here to make the short or the long. I've got the long top on, and the long top comes sort of top of your hips. the one that we've got on the dummy here is the short one, which is that waist length?
Yeah, just below waist, I think.
Okay, and then this is sort of a bit longer.
Hip
So
length.
you've got enough yarn to stitch either the short or the long, and in all the sizes. And the sizes, listen to this, is 28-inch bust right up to 50-inch bust. And I think that's brilliant, because quite often the bigger sizes aren't catered for, or you have to pay a lot more. So I think it's lovely that you've got enough here to do the short or the long, and up to all of the sizes for just £29.99. So let me show you what that looks like. So there's the two colours. This kit is Windsor, which is the darker blue. And then we've also got Lagoon. You've got all the pattern, or everything you need to know. And look at the back. Shall I show you? Look at the back. So it's not just the lacy bit on the front, it's all on the back as well. Which is great, because it'll be interesting to knit. It won't be just knit. It'll be more interesting. So that is the one that I'm wearing, which is the Lunar lace top in the Windsor. And then we've got the Lunar lace top in Lagoon, which is this beautiful summer sky blue. Again, everything you need in there. You've got the full pattern. You could do the short top, the long top. All the measurements are in here of the actual size, which I think is lovely. Like it's got, you know, you can measure your whole upper body width, cuff to cuff, the short length, the longer thing. So you can decide. I think it's nice when they give the finished garment size what you do. Don't forget about your tension square so that you make sure you get it right. And then you can do either in this colour. So all you've got to do really is decide the colour, because all the different sizes are all in the one pattern. But this beautiful, really lovely quality set of instructions. And then I have got one more pattern. I'm just going to show you the pattern. This is using the Laceweight yarn. I've put this in not because we're doing a kit where I'm putting the yarn, but if you like Laceweight yarn and you like knitting with it, you just want some ideas, I thought we'd put one pattern in only for this lovely Penelope shrug. Just £2.99. So if you want, you know, you're looking for some patterns, and you know that West Yorkshire Spinner patterns always really good quality. And again with this, you only need one hank of yarn. It's just the pattern. But isn't that lovely? But you know, if you want to give the technique a go, you're looking for patterns and you're looking for something that's lovely quality, then there's the Penelope shrug, which just uses one hank of yarn. Right. So the most popular at the moment is the jumper that I'm wearing. We'll talk through needles and stuff in a second, because we do have the needles that you need. If you don't have the right needle size at home, we do have them on the website, but we'll show you that in a minute. So anyway, welcome Anniken.
Hello.
Thank you. So excited that you've joined us.
Thank you.
All the way from Penzance.
Not quite.
Nearly.
Southeast Cornwall.
That's
Yeah.
quite a long way, isn't it?
It's a long way, yes.
And you're wearing the short...
Yes, I'm wearing the small Saskia shawl. I've just put it on my shoulders so I can take it on and off easier, but the way I would normally wear it is the way it is on the front of the pattern.
sort of front ways.
Yes, so as a scarf. That's the way I
Okay.
tend to wear this shape
It
shawl.
looks really
if I take
nice,
it
doesn't
off,
it? Yeah, shows how you wear
that
it.
everyone can see the, hang on, just make sure I'm showing you the right way. So that's the shape of it. So it's asymmetrical, and I would normally wear it
Oh, that's lovely, isn't
like
it?
that, as a
Just for a bit of
scarf.
splash of colour,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because it's not heavyweight.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is just a little summer.
So I would just normally wear it as a scarf, but you can wear it across your shoulders. You can drape it across, like the one on the dress form over there, the larger size.
I'm going to try it on.
And because it is a lace-weight yarn, it is quite thin and fine.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be bulky. So even in the winter, if you wear it under a winter coat or something, it's not going to be bulky.
But it's the sort of thing you could just put in your handbag,
Yes.
because
yes,
it's so small.
yeah.
And then on a summer's evening, you just get it
Yeah,
out, because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very lightweight. It's just beautiful.
And the largest one takes just under 100 grams, so there's a little bit of a safety margin there.
Wow.
So it probably takes around 90 grams, if I remember correctly.
That's fantastic.
I think this one was about 60 grams.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head. So you could, I mean, you might even, if you want it slightly smaller, you could even you might just get two of these if you make it slightly smaller. But you could also make a size in between these two sizes.
Right.
So you can basically stop at any time and knit the edging.
And then you can choose.
And
I mean, it
so
is
if
lovely, isn't it?
So if you decide you want a big size, but you get bored 3/4 of the way through,
You can just go,
like we do, and then you can just do the edging and finish.
But the champagne is lovely because it's that lovely neutral. Go with anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Really nice. So tell me about yourself then, Anniken. How did you get into knitting?
Well, I grew up in Norway, and most people in Norway knit. So I was taught to knit as a really young child.
Do they teach you in school, or is it something you're taught at home?
They do teach us in school, or they did when I was at school.
Oh, that's so nice.
But my mum was a very keen knitter. My grandmothers both did knitting, crochet, embroidery, various things. So everyone I knew were doing various types of handicrafts, and I think I just picked up knitting from my mum. I always really enjoyed it. As a teenager, I did loads of knitting. And then when I moved to the UK, I gave up knitting for a while, mainly because I couldn't understand English knitting patterns. Even though my English was fluent.
Oh, right. Why is that? Because they use funny terminology?
It's just the terminology, the abbreviations, all that kind of stuff. I just couldn't get my head around it. So once I discovered online knitting forums, I got back into knitting with the help of online friends and things like that. And then I started designing, and I knew somebody who ran a yarn shop, and she asked me if I could teach a workshop.
Wow, and now you're working with West Yorkshire Spinners?
Yeah, and now I'm published in loads of magazines. I teach loads of workshops every year, well, except for the last year.
Well, except for our workshop.
Yes,
this is our workshop.
Though. So just started the ball rolling, and I've been designing now for about nearly 15 years, I think, 14 years. So, yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it? So we're very, very lucky to have you on air. So is Laceweight one of your passions?
Yes, I like thinner yarns, so Laceweight or 4-ply weight, but I love Laceweight. The reason is because it's much lighter and easier to knit with. It's not heavy when you're holding it. So if you have problems with your shoulders and things like I do, then Laceweight or thinner yarns are easier to knit with because you haven't got that weight on your needles. But also, they just go so much further.
I like that. I like the fact that you can, you can knit with 2 hanks a whole top in the biggest size. It's fantastic, isn't it?
So if you knit a sweater, especially in the larger sizes, so if I was knitting a sweater for myself in a chunky yarn, it'd be really heavy. Whereas in the Laceweight yarn, it's going to weigh less than 200 grams.
And this is lovely as well because it can really layer it. I can see it. You could have it in the summer with a vest top, but like now I've got a long sleeve top. It's just a nice cover up, isn't it?
Yes.
So if we start with the shawl, what was your inspiration for that? How did you come about the design?
So the brief was a sort of fairly simple lace pattern. You can go anywhere from very, very simple to really, really complicated, sort of like Shetland type shawls with lace. And the sort of design brief was for sort of a little bit more simpler lace pattern, not too many sort of frills kind of thing. And I like the asymmetrical shape like this is because of the fact that you can wear it in so many ways. And lots of people, when it comes to shawls, they say, well, I'm never going to wear a shawl. Why would I knit one? But when you realise that you can wear it as a scarf, it opens up opportunities
so even
a
the
lot.
long one you can wear as a scarf as well, can't you?
Because a lot of us probably wouldn't wear a shawl the way I'm wearing it, unless you're a bit chilly or you're wearing it with like a sleeveless dress or something like that. But most of us would probably wear it more as a scarf. But this one, you got options. If it's chilly in the morning when you go to the office, you can, or go to work, you can wear it around your neck. And then,
but for an evening out, it's quite posh, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you can put it on your shoulder if you want to dress up a bit more, or is it cold at work, cold in the office or something. It does give you a lot of different options. Yeah,
when you're having to sit outside in the garden, it'd be perfect, wouldn't it?
And because it is mostly garter stitch with a little bit of lace on the edging, it is fairly easy to knit.
Right, so it's a good introduction to
So even
lace
if you're not like a super experienced lace knitter, it is relatively easy to knit. The lace stitches are fairly easy. So it's a good introduction to lace knitting, also a good introduction to shawls if you are new to knitting shawls.
Right, okay, so where do we start?
So we start in...
So we have to decide which one we're going to knit first.
So you need to... Well, you don't actually have to decide which size you're going to knit before you start.
Right, okay.
Because they are the same until you get to the edging. So
okay, so whether you're small or large.
Yeah, so if you're going to knit the small one, you just knit fewer repeats.
Right.
So it starts in the top corner. Let me show you on this one. It starts in the top corner here with just 5 stitches.
Oh, that's nice.
And
I
then
hate it when it says cast on 325.
Yes, no, it doesn't. So it starts in the top corner, and then you increase along this top edge here, you increase 2 stitches along the top edge, and then you decrease on some of the other rows on the other end, if you like. So the rows basically goes like that. So
what about needles then? What needles do we need for this?
So I think it's 3.5mm needles.
Oh, hang on,
I think
yes, 3.5. It says circular needles are recommended but not essential.
I tend to knit everything on circular needles just because I like them. You can start on straight needles, but I recommend circular needles.
So we have got straight ones if you want with 3mm, but for the first time, I bought these specially for today. Well, I didn't buy them. I made Yarn Lane buy them, like to say I bought them. This pack is specially for today because I am constantly trying to find all the sizes and all the different lengths. It's almost impossible, isn't it? We've got so many on the website now that I decided I'm just going to buy a set.
Yes. So the interchangeable set, I bought one the first time I saw an interchangeable set quite a few years ago. So you have the different needle tips and then you have cables.
Right.
And you just decide which needle size tip you need, needle tip size you need, so say 3.5
So like that one, so that one's 3.5,
yeah.
You've got that one.
And then you find the cable that is the right length.
Okay. So I guess you just measure that.
I don't know how many sizes, does it come with 3 different sizes?
Yes, it does, yeah.
So you just find the cable which is the right length, and then you screw it on. And usually they have a little tool that helps you just to tighten it. And you do need to make sure that you just tighten it because otherwise it will come undone.
Oh yeah, so they're all the same. So if I would decide to go for that one, you just screw them on.
Screw them on, and they should come with a little tool that helps you to tighten it, I think.
Oh, do you think that's?
It's looks like a little pin.
Yes. Those must be, are they...
I think those tube thingies are connectors. You can connect 2 cables to make a longer cable.
Wow.
You want a really long one.
Oh, this is really good, isn't it? I maybe should have read all the instructions.
It should come with like a little pin.
The full instructions are in the package, just to say.
Yeah, it's got quite good instructions.
Yeah. And it's got the pin. And then are these to stop the knitting falling off?
Yes, so they're called end stoppers. So if you need to take the needle tips off because you might need to use them for something else, you can screw the needle tips off mid-project, put those end stoppers on the ends, and then it stops your knitting falling off.
That's fantastic. The fact you can join them together, because sometimes you need 80 centimetres, sometimes you need 60, sock shoes like 20. So with this, and this set goes from 3.5 all the way up to 8.
Yeah, and you can usually also buy extra of the sizes you use most often.
I love this. $39.99. And look, this is a great gift for me.
Yeah. And you can buy more cables.
Yes. So these are Zing. Now you'll notice that all of our knitted needles are Zing because I like them. They're just, a lot of the guest designs we have on say they like the Zing. I like the fact they're colour coded.
I like the Zing ones. I like the fact that they're colour coded because you know you're putting on 2 of the same size.
Yes, because look, there's
rather than 2 of different sizes.
Well, yes, it's fine when you're that big, but they're very similar otherwise.
If it's 3.5 and 3.75, sometimes it is easy to grab the wrong one because they look very similar. But also, it means that, if you need 3.5 and 60 centimetre long cable for one project, and then 3.5 and 80 centimetre for the next project, and then maybe you need a 4mm and 60 centimetre, or you may have a project that needs 40 centimetre through to 80 centimetres in length. Depending on, knitting the neckline on the sweater, for example, you would need a shorter circular needle, so you'd want the 40 centimetre one.
Right.
But then you want a longer one for the body, especially when you add on stitches for the sleeves, because you'll have a lot of stitches. So something like that is perfect because...
And you can buy, I mean, we don't sell them yet, we will do, but you can buy other ones and different length cables and things.
You can add different, more needle sizes and different length cables and things like that. So, my... interchangeable case is like twice as thick as it was.
Well, brand new in today. I bought them especially for Anniken because I was just fed up with trying to buy all the different sizes. Yes. But we're gonna take the plunge. Yes.
Now I'm always telling people when I teach workshops, I'm always telling people if they ask about needles, get the
Well, I don't think a lot of people realise that you can knit normal straight patterns on circular. It isn't just for knitting hats.
No. Now you can knit on circular needles just like you do with straight needles. I know they may be a little bit strange when you first start with them, but if you just forget about the fact that they happen to be attached and you just think about the needle tips as 2 separate needles. So you just have the needle tips in your hand. When you finish, you just turn them and knit the other way, and you forget about the fact that they're attached. The advantage of them being attached is that you can't drop them down the side of the sofa.
Very useful, yes.
If you knit in public, you know, if you knit on public transport or in a coffee shop when they're open, you can't accidentally drop one needle on the floor and then have to rummage around on the dirty floor to find it, or down the side of your sofa to find it, or wherever. They're always attached. So if you have one needle tip, you have the other.
Perfect.
You're not going to lose them because they are attached, and they're attached to your knitting. So that's
and the
one
weight
of
of it as well. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people say when they knit blankets, they get so heavy on the double pointed. It gets the weight of it, whereas that sits on your lap.
Yeah, especially if you have problems with your shoulders or your hands or your elbows, things like that.
Yeah.
You holding it more centrally. With the long needles, you kind of like, they're a bit awkward to hold, I find. And they can cause problems with your shoulders and things like that. So if you get any kind of pain, your arms, hands, shoulders, elbows, anything like that, try circular needles.
They're lovely, and this set's great.
And when you're not,
Yeah,
and when you're not knitting, just push your knitting onto the middle.
Oh, okay, you can just,
and they're not going to fall
and it
off.
just saves. What does Lorraine say? Oh, Marie, sorry. Glad to see Anniken on Yarn Lane today, as me and my mum have attended workshops with her there, and they have been excellent. Have purchased the jumper kit.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, that's nice. Anyway, we've done well, so needles. So we've cast on 5. What happens next?
Okay, so let's look at the shawl pattern. Let me just find the instructions for the shawl pattern. So you cast on 5 stitches and then you knit 1 row, which I've done, I think. Let me just straighten up my knitting here and work out which end I'm on. So one thing with circular needles is that you have 2 ends, so they're basically like a double pointed needle. So you just got to make sure that you have them on the right needle tip, because mine was over on that side.
Yes, yeah, you've got to.
So you want to have it where you have the working yarn. Okay, so the key to this shape is the increase at the beginning of every right side row. So I like to slip the first stitch of every right side row. You don't have to slip the first stitch, but it gives you a really neat straight edge.
I think you'll have to put your hands on the table.
So I like to slip the first stitch of every row
because
because
over to the right, sorry, that's it. Right,
there we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, I like to slip the first stitch of every row because it gives you a really neat edge along the top edge. So I like to slip the first stitch of every row. You don't have to do it, but because we're doing the edge stitches will be in garter stitch, you do have to slip the stitch purlwise with the yarn in front. So I will show you that. Now I do knit continental style, which is with the yarn in my left hand, but I can knit English style as well, but I'm not as good. So I will show you both. So to slip the first stitch purlwise with the yarn in front, have the yarn at the front, put your needle into the first stitch purlwise and take it off. Okay. And then you just have to make sure that you take the yarn between the needles to the back and not around the side to the back.
Right, yeah. But then you would do that with normal needles, wouldn't you?
Yeah. That hasn't, that's nothing to do with circular needles. That's just to get the first slip stitch correctly. So I've slipped the first stitch and I'm going to do this continental, but it doesn't matter if you knit English style, it's exactly the same way. So you're going to do a knit into the front, back and front. So you go in to the next stitch and you knit it, but you leave the stitch on your left hand needle, so don't take it off the left hand needle. And then you're going to twist the right needle around and go through the back of that same stitch and you knit it, and you still leave that stitch on the left hand needle, and then I go back in through the front and knit it again. So now, even though I've only knitted the first 2 stitches, I've actually got 4 stitches on my right hand needle. So I've got 4 stitches on my right hand needle because I've increased 2 stitches into that second stitch. And then we're going to do an SSK, which is a decrease that leans to the left. So the SSK, you slip 1 stitch knitwise. So you just put your needle into the next stitch as if you're going to just knit it, but you just take it off. And then you slip the next stitch knitwise. So you've got 2 slip stitches on your right hand needle, you just slip them knitwise as if you're going to knit them. And then you take your left hand needle and you go into the front of those 2 stitches from the left. So your needle goes in from the left into the front of those 2 stitches. So your right needle is at the back, and then you knit them together, and that's a decrease. And then you knit the last stitch. So you've now increased 1 stitch. So we did a double increase and a decrease.
So you end up with the same number of stitches.
Yeah.
And that creates the lacy hole pattern.
Yeah, and then row 2 is just slip the first stitch purlwise with the yarn in front, take the yarn to the back, and then you just knit to the end of the row.
And is that this larger hole pattern?
No, that's before the cast off.
Oh, okay.
So that's the cast off edge. So we're right at the top here, right at the tip up here, and we're going to get into the lace pattern here.
Okay.
So we're right at the beginning. And then you gradually start incorporating the lace pattern. And then by the time you get to the end of row 12, you will have set up for the lace pattern.
Okay.
Which is here.
It's quite nice because it makes it so much more interesting to knit, doesn't it, as well?
I'm going to take this off because it's a little bit, getting a little bit warm in here.
We've seen it now. We know what it looks like.
So, row 2, shall I do a couple of more rows? So I can show you the yarn forward as well. So row 3, going to start, slip the first stitch purlwise with the yarn in front, take the yarn between the needles to the back, and then you're going to knit into the front, into the back, and then into the front of the next stitch. So by the time you've knitted the first 2 stitches, you've actually got 4 stitches on your right hand needle.
Okay.
And then on row 3, we're going to knit 1, and then there's a yarn forward, which I'll show that English style. So you have the yarn like that, you take it between the needles to the front, yarn forward. That's it. If you do it continental style, like me, then you just take the needle under the working yarn like that. So you just end up with a loop over your right hand needle, and then you're going to do an SSK. So we slip one stitch knitwise, slip the second stitch knitwise, put your left needle into the front of those 2 stitches, and then knit them together, and then knit the last one. And you'll see now you've got a little hole.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the first yarn forward. Now, yarn forward, yarn over, basically the same thing. In the UK, we use yarn forward, yarn round the needle, yarn over the needle. In the US, they tend to just use yarn over for all of it. But it's basically all the same thing.
It's all the same thing, right. So
I tend to use yarn over, so if I say yarn over,
you mean yarn forward.
Yarn forward.
Okay, but in the pattern, it does say yarn forward. It does say yarn forward.
Pattern says yarn forward, but I'm used to saying yarn over, so I might forget.
But it is the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then every wrong side row, you just slip one, and then you knit to the end. So every wrong side row is quite nice and easy, so I'm just going to do that very, very quickly. And then you gradually incorporate the lace pattern as you're knitting the first 12 rows. So I've got one that I made earlier.
That's magic.
So this is after the first 12 rows. That is the first 12 rows.
Ah, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So that is what it looks like after the first 12 rows. So we started here with just 5 stitches, and we've now got 16 stitches.
No, I'm just seeing what mine looks like and go, okay, I've got it. Yep.
And then when you carry on, you may see that I put a stitch marker on here. You don't have to have a stitch marker, but it is easier if you have a stitch marker.
Okay, we have got stitch markers on the website if you want them. If you just scroll down, I do have stitch markers. Yeah,
they're not essential, but they are helpful.
Helps. Okay.
So the stitch marker basically sections of the lace pattern so that you can just, as you get more and more stitches, the garter stitch section will grow, and then you do lace stitches on the last 14 stitches of the row.
Okay. So if you keep that stitch marker there, you know that that's what's happening. That makes absolute sense, yeah.
Slip the first stitch, do your knit into the front, back in front, and then knit till you get to the marker or till you get to 2 stitches before the marker, because if you look at the pattern, every other right side row has a knit 2 together before the marker.
Okay.
That just helps you get the shape. So you just need to read the pattern carefully. So you'll say that it says on row 7, for example, slip with yarn in front, knit front, back, front, knit 2 stitches before marker, knit 2 together, slip marker, and then you do the lace pattern.
brilliant. Yeah, no, that
it
makes
makes a lot
sense,
more
yeah.
sense when you're actually doing
No,
it.
no, it does make sense. And I think what's quite nice is that it's not boring, but you get a bit where you're just doing the garter stitch.
Yeah,
You can just like
yeah.
relax.
Yes.
And then you have to concentrate on the end.
Yes.
And then you start
Yes.
again, and that's
Yes.
quite a nice way
Yes.
to do it. Lovely. I really like that. So, jumper.
Yeah.
Jumper.
Jumper.
Do you need the jumper to show?
No,
Will that
that's
help?
fine. No,
Okay.
that's fine. So the jump actually might be easier if I do have the jumper
Okay.
to show. If you can throw it this way, I'll try and catch it.
Yeah, I'll throw it. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. So the jumper is knitted in just 2 pieces.
So in the pattern for the jumper, to work
Yeah.
out your size, it's given the sort of the bust size, but also the actual size. So
Yeah.
would you recommend measuring something you've already got?
Yes. The easiest thing is to measure something you already own. that
Although
you
it's
like the
quite
fit
a
of.
loose fit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is designed to be quite loose fitting. So if you don't want it quite as loose fitting, you can knit a size smaller.
Right.
It is quite a relaxed fit. So what I would do is I would find a sweater you like the fit of, measure the width,
Right.
and then this one is you cast on at the bottom here, you work up to about here, and then you increase slightly, and then here you cast on the stitches that you need for the sleeves.
So you could decide the length when you get to that point
Yeah,
then.
so if you get to this point and you're thinking, so that will be under the underarm, but it's a slightly loose fit. So it doesn't go
so
right.
it's not right up into
No,
the
no.
armpit. But
So if you're thinking
Okay.
that's going to be a little bit short, you can add on length at that point.
okay.
Just make sure in the smaller sizes you'll be fine because you'll have plenty of yarn. But in the larger sizes, if you make it much longer than
Yeah.
the longer size.
Yeah,
you
so don't make
may
it any
need-
longer than that,
Yeah.
but if you
Yeah.
can then adjust it to
So
fit.
if you were making, say, the larger size and you want to make it longer than the longest
Yeah,
one,
you probably can.
you may need a bit more yarn.
Right, okay. But you can adjust it then.
Yeah. So you get to here, you cast on the stitches that you need for the sleeves. So if you're on the right side row, you cast on the stitches for this sleeve, then you work across, and then you turn, and then on the wrong side you cast on the stitches you need for this sleeve, and then you work back and forth till you get to the next shape.
And it's a nice 3/4 length as well, isn't it?
So again, if you want
Probably
a
a
longer
bit shorter.
sleeves,
I've got short arms, just saying.
if you want a shorter, longer sleeves,
Yeah.
you would need to cast on more stitches.
Okay.
So yeah.
But it is something nice that you
Yeah.
can sort of play with and adjust a bit
yes,
as
it
well.
is, yeah.
I love this one.
And
It's
it's
my
got
favourite.
the small lace pattern on one side, or 3 repeats on the lace pattern on one side. I think in the larger sizes it may have 4.
It's nice that I love the fact it's not symmetrical.
Yes, and then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side. I think in the larger sizes it may have 7.
Oh, okay. But it's all in there.
Yes, yes. So you got more, and it's the same on the front and the back. So the wider lace panel is on the same side, whether you're on the front or the back.
Oh, I see. So it just goes
Yeah.
down. Yeah, I mean, the back is so pretty, isn't it?
So the wide lace panel is on that
I
side.
think it's amazing, though. It's only £30 for the whole kit, isn't it?
Yes, that's the joy of.
The joy of Laceweight
yarn.
Because you really think, well, do you know, I can have a go at that.
Yes, yeah. It's not, and if you nip on the smaller sizes, you may actually have enough to do the small shawl as well.
That's true.
So you could have a matching shawl.
Yeah, you have the whole thing.
You won't if you knit the larger sizes. 'cause
No,
you'll
but
knit more,
it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
That it's affordable and it
Yes,
feels
yes.
achievable. So where do we start with this? Are the needles? Oh no, these are 3mm.
Yeah, so these are smaller needles,
Right.
just so that the stocking stitch wouldn't be too open,
Okay.
because otherwise it would end up quite loose looking. Because it has silk in it, it does stretch a little bit anyway, because silk tends to kind of relax a bit more than wool does.
So what's the purpose of the silk in it?
It adds a lot of softness.
Right, I mean,
it
it's
adds
really soft.
Yeah, it adds a bit of sheen.
Yeah, no, that's
So
true.
you'll see if you look at the hank, there is a slight sheen to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's got
Yeah, so the more shiny or more sheen it has, really. But it also helps it relax a little bit more. So once you've blocked it, which is basically stretching it at the end, which I'll talk about later, once you've blocked it, it will then help to keep its shape better.
Oh, okay.
Because wool can sometimes shrink back a bit.
Right, but the silk
Yeah,
holds
and
it.
silk just makes you feel a lot more luxurious.
Well, it does, and I just sort of wondered because they often, with
Yes.
West Yorkshire, they don't always put that in, and I thought there's obviously a
Yes,
reason
yes.
why they've put it in.
Well, the merino wool, I think it's merino wool, isn't it? In the
Yeah, well, it's called,
listed,
yes, Falkland
So
wool.
the Falklands merino wool merino wool is the softest sheep wool you can get, and then the silk just adds a bit of softness and a bit of sheen to that.
Yeah. It is, it's a lovely combination.
Yeah, and
though,
it's
isn't
lovely
it?
to knit with.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you feel the difference?
Yes, definitely. It's a luxurious yarn.
I'm sold.
Yeah, it's a luxurious yarn, but it hasn't got the price tag that a
No,
lot
that's-
of luxurious yarns have, because some luxurious yarns can be very, very expensive,
Yeah.
and this is still.
I know. It's amazing. It's
Affordable.
a really good price, but I guess
Yeah.
because it goes such a long
Yes.
way, doesn't it?
And a lot of people are surprised when you have one skein of Laceweight yarn that you can get a whole shawl out of
Yeah.
it, and that
Yeah, well, you think
shawl
of the size
is
of this.
big.
You know, that's a big
Yeah.
shawl from
Yeah,
one.
that's a very big shawl. So I do like the fact that you can get a big shawl out of it, big size
Yeah.
out of it, and that's just one skein.
That's amazing.
And the
isn't
fact
it?
that you can get, you know, a Laceweight sweater.
So you
out of
either
it.
well, it depends, the lengths are different on this depending on whether you're short or
Yeah, yeah.
which size you go for.
Yes, yes, but you only need 2 skeins.
Right.
So for the smallest size, you will only use a little bit of the second skein, especially if you knit the small
Right.
length.
Yes.
And then obviously on the larger sizes,
But you've
you
got
will
to have
need
2,
more.
so that's
Yeah,
that, isn't
yeah.
it?
But that's the thing, if you knit the smallest one, short in one of the smaller
Yes.
sizes, you can knit one of the small shawls for a friend maybe. Put it away as a Christmas present.
Exactly. So where do we start with this? Is it similar to the...
Yes,
Shawl
so it
or-
is similar. It starts at the bottom, so you cast on the number of stitches that you need for the bottom. So I've got the lace pattern for the sweater here, and I've just done a couple of repeats. I'll just show you some of the stitches.
Okay.
So let me just find the right pattern, so I'm not knitting the wrong thing. There we go. Because that helps.
So and yes, you've got the chart printed out.
Just
big.
thinking, yeah. There we go. That's the right pattern. That's the one I'm looking for. So, again, on the sweater, you don't have to worry about slipping the first stitch because you're going to be seaming up the edge. So you don't really want to slip the first stitch because if you slip the first stitch and you're going to seam it, it makes seaming a lot more
Okay, so
difficult.
slipping the first stitch on the shawl gives it a nice loose
Yeah,
edge, but on
yeah.
the jumper you want it tighter.
Exactly. So I've just knitted a few edge stitches here. On the sweater, you will have a few stitches in a stocking stitch before you get into the lace pattern.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I would put, again, I love stitch markers. They're so useful.
Well, we have got a pack of loads
Yes.
of them. These are great, aren't they?
If you don't have stitch markers, get a pack. They are really, really useful.
And these are Knit Pro as well.
Yeah.
$1.99. There you go, 30.
Yeah.
That'll do.
So I would put a marker before the lace pattern and then at the end of the lace pattern, and then you have a section in stocking stitch, and then I would
Yeah.
put a marker before the second lace pattern and at the end of the second lace pattern. So I would use markers to like section off the lace pattern, just because it means that when you're not doing the lace and you're just knitting or purling, depending on which row you're on, whether you're on right or wrong side row, you can just relax.
Yeah, which is quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the bit where you go, don't anyone speak to me, I'm counting.
Yes, yes.
And the other bit is fine.
And
I
if
can
you
talk
have
now.
these, you know, because say you're going to knit, I don't know, 50 between the two lace patterns, instead of counting every time, if you have a marker there,
of course, yeah.
you just knit till you get to the marker and then you know you've got to
I
concentrate
think that's a
again.
really, really good tip.
So let me show you how to knit the lace pattern for the sweater. So it's very similar stitches. I've just knitted a few edge stitches here, and then I'm going to do an SSK. So again, SSK, slip one knitwise, slip a second one knitwise, put your left needle into the front of those two stitches and knit them together. So SSK is a decrease that leans to the left. A lot of people might be more familiar with slip one, knit one, pass, slip, stitch over.
Yeah.
SSK is an improved version of that, so I would
Right,
do
so it's
SSK.
taking you to the,
Yeah.
the better level.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you're
Which
going
is
to
good.
knit one, and then, no you're not, sorry I'm doing the wrong thing now. So you've done the SSK, then you're going to do a yarn over or yarn forward. So if I do it English style, you just take the yarn to the front. So this yarn to the front, so you're knitting the next stitch with the yarn at the front. I'm going to go back to continental style. So I'm going to knit one, and then you're going to do another yarn over or yarn forward. So this is continental style. As long as you get a loop over your right needle, that's fine. Then you're going to knit 3 and then you're going to knit 2 together. So to knit 2 together, you just go into the next 2 stitches as if you were going to just knit them and just knit them together. And that's a right leaning decrease. So SSK leans to the left, knit 2 together leans to the right. And then we're going to knit 1 and then SSK, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over or yarn forward, knit 2, 3, and then knit 2 together. And I think I made a mistake at the beginning because I've run out of stitches.
That's fine.
So yeah, I think I had fewer edge stitches than I thought I did.
So we've talked about the pattern. What
Yeah.
about the chart? I know a lot of people
Yeah.
are scared of charts
Yes.
or think, what does that mean?
So charts can be a little bit scary. So let's look at how to knit from charts. So the patterns do include written instructions
and you don't have
as well.
to use the chart then?
No, they have written instructions
Right,
as well.
okay.
So you can do the written instructions if you prefer. The reason I like charts is because you can see at a glance what's happening. Whereas I find if I'm doing the written instructions, I have to focus more and concentrate more.
Yeah, no, that's true because you've
Yeah.
got to read.
Yeah.
K1, SSK, you've got your...
Yeah, and it's easy to lose your place,
Yeah.
so I prefer to knit from charts, but I know a lot of people find them a little bit intimidating. So let's look at the charts. So charts is basically a visual representation of what your knitting looks like with the right side facing you. So if you have your knitting down on the table in front of you with the right side facing you, that's what your chart shows. So you read all right side rows from right to left. So you can see here, it's got all the numbers on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So right side rows, you go from right across to the left. Same way you're knitting. So you're knitting from right to left.
Yeah.
Now, if you were imagining that you were going to knit backwards, you can do the wrong side row, but without turning your knitting,
Yeah.
you would then go from left to right.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's how you read the wrong side rows.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
right side rows are right to left, wrong side rows are left to right.
Yeah.
However, this chart, as you can see on the right here where the numbers are, doesn't have any wrong side rows. It only has right side rows. So if there's nothing happening on the wrong side rows except for knit or purl, then I tend to take the wrong side rows
Yeah,
out.
because otherwise you'd
Because
be
it saves
putting
space.
in...
Yeah. So it just means you've got a bit more space, really.
Yeah, otherwise, so you
Yeah.
could have put the other side
Yeah,
in, and then
yeah.
it would be starting from the other end.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because wrong side is all pearl.
All the lace stitches are on the right side row. All the wrong side rows are just purl stitches.
Oh, okay.
So
that's why it's not in there.
yeah,
but-
so you just need to read all the right side rows on this chart, and then the pattern will tell you what to do on the wrong side rows. And on the
Nice.
sweater, the wrong side rows are just purl. And then each square is a stitch, and each empty square or symbol has a meaning. So you need to know the code to what all the symbols mean. So
Yeah.
you need to refer to the chart keys.
Oh, well, there is a
So
key.
every
Nice.
pattern will have a chart key that tells you what all the symbols mean. So because this pattern is just right side rows, I haven't charted the wrong side rows. They all say RS. So RS knit, RS knit 2 together, RS SSK, RS yarn forward. If there was wrong side rows as well, the first one would say RS knit, WS wrong side purl. And it would tell you what to do on the wrong side rows.
But you
I-
haven't got any wrong side
I don't have any
rows.
wong side rows, so I don't tell you what to do in the chart.
No,
It's
this
just
is all making
confusing.
sense.
And then you can see there's a red box around this chart. So the red box, which you only have in the sweater pattern, it's not on the shawl at all. But the red box is a pattern repeat. So it means that you repeat all those 9 stitches however many times the pattern tells you to. So the pattern might say repeat the 9 stitch repeat 3 times, or repeat the 9 stitch repeat 6 times.
Okay.
And that means that you go
So
to
it all depends on...
yeah, just it on the sweaters. On one side, on that one, on the left-hand
So
side
is
is 6
that
times.
section
Yeah.
the 9 stitches?
Yeah, so that's 9 stitches 6 times.
Can you see? So that section from there to there
Yeah,
is
that's
the
9 stitches 6 times. On the
Okay.
other side, on the right-hand side, on your right, it's 3 times.
Ah, well, that makes sense then. So
Yeah.
that little chart is just one lace section.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All making
So-
sense.
If you're confused about the chart, just look at the written instructions and see if you can make sense of it. Because especially when you're new
Okay.
to charts, they may be a little bit confusing and you might be a little bit worried. So if you're not sure if you're reading it correctly, just look at the written instructions.
Yeah, well, it's all exactly the same when you start reading it and following it with your finger.
And you can just refer back and forth.
Yeah.
And just flick between the two if you want to.
It's a bit like crochet charts, because I really struggle with crochet charts, but even though I can crochet, but if I do follow them together, then it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I just haven't taken that leap of just the chart.
Yes. I was a bit scared of charts when I started lace knitting, but once I got the hang of them, I know.
Is it easier for designing when you use charts?
Yes, because I can see the lace pattern more, so I can kind of see, you know, you can see here the yarn forward, which is
a hole
circles. Then? That's the holes.
Right.
So they lean to the left, so I can tell that that's going to be a pattern that leans to the left.
So actually it does make sense. So after a while you don't need to think that means yarn forward. You know that means hole, which is...
And the pattern for the sweater actually has two charts, but they are, if you look at them, you can see they are the same. They're just mirrored. Yeah. So I basically just taken that chart and flipped it horizontally.
Like a mirror image.
Yeah, mirror image. So if you look at the sweater that you're wearing, on the left-hand side, the yarn overs go out to the left.
Right,
and it kind of creates like a left-leaning pattern with the yarn overs or yarn forwards. And on the right-hand side,
on that one.
On the right-hand side, where you only have 3 repeats.
Actually, you could probably show us on if you put your jumper flat.
If I put this there. There we go. So you can see here, the yarn overs kind of lean out to the right. They kind of go out to the right. There we go.
In a minute. There you go.
So all the yarn overs kind of go out to the right. On this side, they go to the left.
So I suppose by designing it with the chart, then you can see
I can
that.
see that.
But also, as knitting it, that's now making sense to me.
Yeah. So you know, if you look at that, you can kind of tell that you should kind of see that the first yarn forward should lean to the right, and if it doesn't, you can kind of think, oh, I might have done something wrong. There are a few exceptions.
So basically, the lace knitting is really sort of just creating holes, and then catching up again.
Yes. So the yarn forward or yarn over or whatever you want to call it is the hole, and it's making a stitch. You're increasing a stitch, and it's the combination of the yarn forward or the holes and the decreases. That's what creates the lace pattern. Yeah.
See, I always thought for some reason like lace knitting was a different thing.
No.
But it's more.
Yeah. It's just knit and purl stitches and a few decreases and yarn forward thrown in.
But it's not like lace knitting.
It's not like lace making, like
no. I thought there was
proper lace
but
making.
It's quite nice that so if you can knit and purl,
you can do lace knitting.
And you can concentrate.
Yes. You need to be able to knit and purl, cast on and cast off. Then you can do
There was one thing I was going to ask you that was interesting I'd never heard of, was in the shawl.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to show us on the jumper?
No.
Okay. Russian cast off.
Oh, yes.
What is that and why?
So Russian cast off is a decrease. You need a stretchy decrease for the shawl, because when you finish the shawl, you're going to block it, which basically just means you're going to soak it in lukewarm water.
Oh, we were going to talk about that as well. After
Squeeze out the excess water and then you just stretch it. But I can talk a bit more about that later.
So is this edge here the Russian cast off?
No, that's the top edge. That's where we do the increases. So the cast off is, let me get this little shawl out again. So the cast off is here. So at the end, you do a yarn forward row. So you do a row where you do knit 2 together, yarn forward, to get these little holes on the edge here.
Oh, I see. Gosh, yeah, I never thought that was a cast off row.
I think you knit a couple of more rows and then you do a cast off.
So I put mine flat.
And you need this edge to stretch as much as the knitting does. If it's too tight, then it's not going to stretch and you won't get the shape basically, because it'll pull it in. If you've ever looked at a regular cast off, you can see that it's really, really tight.
Oh yeah, no, I can't get your
There's no stretch in it at all. So Russian cast off is the cast off that's really good for lace knitting. It's not suitable for everything because it is very stretchy, but it is quite easy to do. So I'm going to do it continental style, but if you do it English style, it doesn't matter. It's exactly the same. So you're going to knit 2 stitches. So you have 2 stitches on your right-hand needle, and then you can either put them back on the left-hand needle purl-wise. So you just put your left needle in, put them back on the left-hand needle, and then I'm going to knit those same 2 stitches through the back loop. So I just put my needle in through the back loop of those 2 stitches and knit them together. So I've now cast off 1 stitch. and I have 1 stitch left on my right hand needle. So I'm going to knit the next one. So I have 2 stitches on my right hand needle, and then I can put my left needle in and slip them back to my left hand needle, take my right hand needle and knit them through the back loop. But if you watch very carefully what I do, so I've now got 1 stitch on my right hand needle. If I knit the next one, so I've got 2 stitches on my right hand needle. If I put my left needle in, as if I'm going to slip them back, you see that right needle is at the back, so I can just knit them together like that. So I don't actually have to slip them back. I can just knit one, so I've got 2 stitches, put the left needle into the front, like I did with the SSK, and knit them together. So you can do this really, really quickly with a bit of practice. 2 stitches there, left needle into the front of those 2 stitches, knit them together. So you'll never have more than 2 stitches on your right hand needle. If you have more, then you got carried away. So 1 stitch, knit another one, left needle into the front of those 2 stitches and knit them together. And it gives you a really nice stretchy elastic.
Well, it gives you a pretty cast off as well.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, it's very nice.
That's really nice. So how long have we got left, Paul? 5. Oh, on air. Oh, right. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Can we talk about blocking?
Yes.
And then I'll go over the kits again.
So blocking, I have loads of videos on my website where I show you how I block various shawl shapes.
And what's your website?
yarnaddict.co.uk. There's a tutorials page there. But basically, to block it, and you want to block the sweater and the shawl, you soak it in lukewarm water. You weave in all the ends first. Soak it in lukewarm
Detergent
water.
or not? Just
you can use a little bit of wool wash.
Okay.
Or if you don't have wool wash, shampoo works quite well.
Okay.
But only a tiny dash, not much. And then soak it for about 10 minutes, take it out, squeeze out all the water, and then put in a towel and kind of roll the towel up and squeeze out as much water as you can. So you kind of roll it into sausage and then just squeeze it to get out as much water as possible. Don't kind of go like wringing it like that.
because you really,
yeah.
But ring the towel. Okay.
And then you need a flat area. You can use the floor, you can use a bed, you can use the dining room table, whatever you have that's big enough. I do really big shawls on my dining room table, which is smaller than this table, and I do huge shawls on there.
Okay.
So you want something that you can stick pins into. So either blocking mats, or if you're doing it on the floor, just towel.
Go into the carpet.
Yeah, or you can just get those picnic rugs with the waterproof backing.
Oh, okay.
They work quite well if you're worried about your surface getting wet. But if you're doing it on the table or hardwood, you'd need some kind of blocking mats, which are foam mats, which you can buy everywhere now. You buy them in like Halfords, hardware stores.
They're those things they use for like, well, what else do they use them for?
I saw some the other day coming out of a shop with, and they were like massive, great big squares. A lot of people use them for like garden furniture, exercise equipment, dogs, puppies.
Just foam.
My dog trainer has them for her puppies.
They're sort of about this thick, aren't they?
Yeah, they're sort of.
And they like interlock.
Yeah, yeah, they look like a giant jigsaw, but they're foam.
Right. Okay.
So you just make the size, put them together in the size you need, and then you just start pinning. So you want to pin all the way along this top edge, which stretches out into that kind of shape. Can we see that on the? There we go. So you can see it curves around a little bit, and then you want to pin all the way along here.
And I guess that edge doesn't stretch, so that's
doesn't stretch.
Nice
and then you also want to pin all the way along here. If you have blocking wires, they're great, but you don't need them. There's also something called nip blockers, which I use a lot, which are little like comb type things, so you can stick into.
We have got blocking pins. They're like forks.
Have you? Yeah. They're very good. So you just pin all the way along here, all the way along the top edge, and then all the way along here. And these are all straight edges. If you do pull them a bit and put a pin in it like that, you'll get like scalloped edges.
Okay.
So you can do that if you want to. And with a shawl, you want to stretch it as much as you can, and then stretch it a bit more. So you want to stretch it so it's like completely taut.
Right, and then just wait for it to dry.
And then just leave it to dry. With a sweater, you want to stretch it to the measurements. So
which are in the pattern.
Yeah, so check the measurements carefully and don't stretch it any more than that, because it will end up too big.
Okay. Well, thank you, Anniken. That's been fantastic and fascinating. Thank you for coming all this way to see us. It's been brilliant. So I hope we see you back again soon.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to do a quick recap because we've almost run out of time. So the shawl in the Capri, which is the coral colour, you get one hank of this beautiful British wool, and silk. Half of the stock has already gone, so if you want it, you need to check out. £16.99 for the beautiful yarn and the pattern. And believe it or not, this one hank will make one shawl, either the really big one, this one here, or the shorter scarf size one that Anniken was wearing. They're beautiful, aren't they? Yeah, see, there are various of you who buy multiples of these, because if you buy 2 hanks, you can probably make 3 shawls. And then there's some of you buying the jumper pattern. If you're making one of the smaller sizes, you've probably got enough to make one shawl, and then you get the pattern. So that's great. We've also got the next kit is the same shawl, but in champagne, which is this beautiful neutral colour, merino wool and mulberry silk. Beautiful. I mean, really fantastic quality. We've got the next one is the jumper that I'm wearing, which is Windsor. Well over half of the stock has gone of that. Only £29.99. You get 200-gram hanks of the wool and silk, and you get the pattern. Gives you all the information you need, and the needle sizes and everything else. Or you've got the other colourway, which is the Lagoon, which is like, it's just a beautiful blue, sky blue, and you've got the pattern, and again, all the measurements in here. So check out first what size you want to be, but there is enough here to make the short jumper, the long jumper, and up to a 52-inch bust. The other thing that we have brand new for today is the cable needle set, interchangeable cables. So you've got all the needle sizes, you've got 3 different cable sizes. So this is a great way of cable knitting, but having everything you need without having to buy all the different tips and all the different ends. And there's more of us now who are cable knitting, because we realise, oh, our lovely guests who come on air tell us. I've been working with these needles for some time now, and they are brilliant. I love them from Lorraine. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And Beverly says the Zing offer is fantastic. I'd definitely buy them if I didn't have already asked them. Can I ask what the different lengths for the lace top? That's all on. If you go onto the website, all of that information is on the website. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Yarn Lane is back on Wednesday. Very excited. Helen from Woolly Chic is back with us. We haven't seen her for a few months, but she is back with us with brand new bags using her yarn. They are lovely. So join us. It won't be me. I think it's John on Wednesday. So he'll be back on Wednesday with Yarn Lane. But thank you for joining us today, and thank you for Anniken with being with us too. And I will see you soon.